Hello everyone, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Keisha and today I'm going to be doing a 32 book unhaul. This video was not planned, however, I have decided to unhaul some more books from my shelves. I am going to be posting these on Pango, so if any of these are still up in my shop, you are welcome to shop with my Pango bookshop if you would like any of these books that I talk about today. But I wanted to go ahead and get this video out, even though, like I said, this is kind of like a spur of the moment thing. I just thought I would do an unhaul for you all, since I do have 32 books that will be leaving my shelves. I will leave the link to my Pango bookshop down below in the description box, but without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this unhaul. These are in no particular order. I'm just going to start from the top and grab. So the first book that I have here is The Ghouls of Howlfair by Nick Tomlinson. It says, the scariest legends are about to come true. This is a spooky middle grade book that I have not read yet, and it has been on a couple of my TBRs over the past couple years, but I have not gotten around to it. It is a story about a young historian named Molly Thompson who suspects that the creepy legends of Howlfair are starting to come true. It is a brilliantly funny and spooky mystery adventure from a fresh new voice in children's books. I have no doubt that this will probably be a really good book. Unfortunately, I just don't think that I'm going to get to it, so I'm unhauling it from my shelves. Next up, I have a stack that I need to grab all the books and put together for, so hold on. Okay, I'm going to be putting these next 6 books into the same category because they are all by the same author, and that is Jennifer McMahon. So I have The Winter People, Burntown, The Children on the Hill, The Drowning Kind, The Night Sister, and The Invited. So if you don't already know this, Jennifer McMahon is an author who writes horror, but it's a little bit, some of them are a little bit historical, but not in the sense that you might think. She writes really interesting, atmospheric, well-written, dual timeline horror stories, essentially. They do have some paranormal elements. Jennifer McMahon used to be one of my favorite authors, if you did not know that, if you happen to be new here. A couple years ago, she was my favorite author. I really enjoyed all of her books. I have read all of these books except for Burntown. I DNF'd recently, and that was kind of the last push that I needed to get her books off my shelves. At one point in my life, I really enjoyed her, and I do think if you like any of the things that I mentioned, she is a great writer for that genre, so check her out if that sounds interesting to you. But I am not wanting to read or really have like horror books on my shelves these days. So because these are, I kind of think, like a little bit darker of books, not like Karen Slaughter dark, but just like dark in the sense of like paranormal and spooky, I'm going to get rid of these. But like I said, if you are interested in them and any of those things, she is a great author for that genre. I have also been inspired to unhaul another author from my shelves, and that is Shay Earnshaw. So I have The Wicked Deep, which this was, I think, a 4.5 star for me. Winterwood, which was, I think, a 3 or 3.5 star for me, and A History of Wild Places, which was a 4 star for me. So this author was also one of my favorite authors a couple of years ago. The Wicked Deep was one of my favorite books of all time, but this story does deal with like these witches or girls accused of being witches, their souls coming back and possessing people, and there is a pentagram on the cover of this, and I just really don't care to have this anymore. It was a great story, like I said, if you are interested in things like that, but I am not anymore, so I'm going to unhaul that. This is also a witchy book. I don't remember a lot about it, except it's in like a winter wood. And then this one is not witchy, it's more like a cult situation. If you like the movie The Village, you'll probably really enjoy this book. I do like this book, I just know that I'm not ever going to reread it, so I'm going to unhaul it as well. Next, I have some spooky middle grade books, which you guys are going to be so like shocked that I'm unhauling so many of these books, but let's just jump into it. I have The Haunting of Avalon Jones by Phil Hicks. This is like a classic ghost story. It is the first book in a trilogy. I'm not sure if there's going to be more, but if you like a good classic ghost story, this will be a good one for you. Then I also have Legend Hollow, The Witch's Cookbook by Taylor Pinsonell. This is a good book for if you like more fantasy Halloween stories. Then I have Finch House by Sierra Birch. I did enjoy this one as well. I have read these books. Well, I DNF'd this one. I gave this one, I think, 4 stars. This one I gave, what did I give? 3 stars. I wanted a little bit more from it, but I was really enjoying it. It just didn't go as deep as I would like, so unhauling it for that reason. But this one is like, especially if you or someone you know has a fear of change, this is a good topic or a book for that topic. Then I have Watch Hollow, The Alchemist's Shadow by Gregory Finero. I read the original, the first Watch Hollow, and really enjoyed that one and gave it 5 stars. But the sequel was only 3 stars. And then there is not a book that has been like published after this, and this was published in 2020. And so I know I'm not going to get a continuation of this story, at least not for some time. It's already been 4 years. Yeah, not 5 years. It's not 2025 yet. But I didn't enjoy this part of the story as much as the first, so I'm going to go ahead and unhaul this and just keep the first. Then I have Ghost Girl by Ali Melaninko, which is a great spooky story, but it doesn't have the depth for me to keep it. I am keeping some spooky middle grade books. You can probably see some up here on my shelves. So I'm keeping ones that I feel safe with, or ones that I feel like have a deeper meaning and deal with like more real life fears and topics. So anyways, then I have The Keeper by Guadalupe Garcia McCall. This was a 5-star read for me. The first part of this book is really funny. The second part is really scary because it's realistic. It's based on the Westfield Watcher. So if you know that story, this book is loosely based on that. But I think this is honestly a really scary book for kids to read, even adults to read, because you're learning about a stalker situation and a kidnapping situation. So I don't want to keep this on my shelves for any future kids that I have because I don't want to terrify them. Then I have The International House of Dereliction by Jacqueline Davies. This was a solid book. It is a little paranormal. It wasn't my favorite, so I'm unhauling that. I have The Bellwoods Game by Celia Crampion. This is a beautiful Owlcrate edition of this book. This was a good story, but it just wasn't my favorite, so I'm going to unhaul that. Then I have a couple of graphic novel sequels. This is Up to No Ghoul by Cullen Bunn and Kat Ferris. The first book is The Ghoul Next Door, which I will be keeping, but this book did not hit as well as the first one did, so I'm going to continue in the series probably, but I just didn't enjoy the sequel as much, and I don't feel like I need to own any other book except the first one. And I will say the same thing about The OK Witch. This is The OK Witch and the Hungry Shadow by Emma Steinkellner. I adored The OK Witch, the original graphic novel, but this one I didn't love as much, so I'm going to get rid of this. And I think I actually may be doing a reread of The OK Witch to see if I still want to keep that one. It has been one of my favorite graphic novels, but I don't know if it still holds up for me, so I need to revisit that one. Then I have a stack of Lindsay Curry books. Lindsay Curry is one of the queens of spooky middle grade. If you like a good ghost story, or if you like a little bit more of like heartwarming horror, she is a great author. I do still have one of her books on my shelves that I need to read, but I think as I read her books, I'm going to unhaul them, so somebody else can enjoy them. I have The Peculiar Incident on Shady Street. That was a 3.5 star for me. What Lives in the Woods. This was a 4 star for me. It Found Us. This will be going in a little free library because it is an advanced copy, which I'm so thankful to have received. This is the scariest of her books, I believe, by far, closely rivaled by Scritch Scratch. So if you really want something scary, this one, I really didn't like the possession element in this. I don't really like that being in books in general, especially kids' books, but it was definitely her scariest and it was really well done. I gave this, I think, 4 stars, and then I also gave Scritch Scratch 4 stars. So those are the Lindsay Curry books that I will be unhauling. I do still own her Mystery of Locked Rooms because that's probably my favorite of hers, and it is not like a spooky middle grade, it's more just like a mystery, and I still own The Girl in White because I need to read that one. Next up, I have Verity by Colleen Hoover. I have gone back and forth on whether or not I wanted to keep this book or not because I gave it 5 stars. It quite literally wrecked me, and I loved the ending of this one, and I just love, like, it was like one of those, this is like a guilty pleasure read, like a guilty pleasure trashy novel that was so good but also so bad. Does that make sense? So I just feel like I'm probably not going to revisit this, so I'm just going to get rid of it. Then I have another of, like, this is probably one of my favorite horror novels, but I'm going to get rid of it because of themes in it. So this is The Patient by Jasper DeWitt. This is a novella, and it was very, very well done. It was a little bit reminiscent of The Silent Patient for me, but give it a little bit more of a certain type of twist that I'm not going to mention for spoiler reasons. But if you like horror novels, definitely check this one out. I'm just going to unhaul it, but this was a 5-star read for me. I also have Horrid by Katrina Leno. I used to think that Katrina Leno was going to be a favorite author of mine. She has really beautiful writing. She's somebody I could recommend to those who are interested in her types of books. This was her YA horror novel, and I really enjoyed this when I read it. I gave it 4 stars, but I think that I can go ahead and unhaul it now. I can't remember. Yeah, I think this is the Owlcrate special edition, and it does have like the under the dust jacket artwork and stuff like that, and it may be signed if it's Owlcrate. Let me check. Yeah, it is signed. So this is kind of a hard one to get rid of, but I don't think I'm ever going to revisit this story. I'm also getting rid of Dead and Gondola by Anne Claire. Now, don't get alarmed. I have not read this one yet, and I do still plan to, but I just happened to come by 2 copies of this, so I'm going to be unhauling one of those. This is a cozy mystery that is like for fans of Agatha Christie, because the women, I think they're the Christie sisters, and they have cats named after like Agatha Christie or something like that. Yeah. So I'm still really excited about this one. I just came by an extra copy, so I'm getting rid of my spare. Then I have another cozy mystery. This one is Doom and Broom, a spellbound paranormal cozy mystery by Annabelle Chase. I do still own the first one. It is called Curse the Day, and it is very reminiscent for me of Halloween Town and Sabrina the Teenage Witch. It was a very fun, whimsical story and my first cozy mystery that I ever read, so it does have some sentimental value, but I don't think I'm going to continue in the series. It's a very long one, and I don't think it'll be an all-time favorite, so I'm just going to go ahead and unhaul Doom and Broom. Next, I have kind of a sad one. I'm unhauling Waiting for Tom Hanks by Carrie Winfrey. I have adored this author's other books, but this one just did not hit for me, so I DNF'd it. But if you like rom-coms, I think there is a very good chance that this could be a good book for you. Then I have a couple of thrillers, and these are the last books I believe that I need to unhaul. The first one is Dark Corners by Megan Golden. This is a crime podcast type thriller with documentary elements. Is this the one with the documentary? No, this is not the one. Sorry, I was getting confused with another book. But crime podcast, like detective story type deal. This just did not hit for me. I gave it originally a 3-star, but I think it's more like a 2.5. The writing is really good, but the story just didn't hold my attention, and I don't think crime books are my favorite books, so I'm going to unhaul this one. And then the last book that I have is Listen for the Lie by Amy Chintera, which I was also super excited for. The first half of this book was a 5-star read for me. The second half just kind of teetered off onto like a 2.5 or a 3. So I landed on a 3.5-star rating for this book. I do think it is very bingeable, very fast-paced, very interesting. It does have elements of like infidelity, and there's a lot of language in this book, but it was a very interesting story up until the end, when I felt like the reveal could have been so much better than what it was. It just did not hit the mark for me, so I'm going to be unhauling this one. So there you have it. Those are all of the books that I'm going to be unhauling today. Like I said, if you are interested in any of these books, you can check them out on my Pango bookshop, which is linked in the description box down below if you want to buy any of these, because I am going to be getting rid of them fairly soon. But I hope you enjoyed this video. I feel like everybody always loves either a good book haul or a good book unhaul, and so I have quite a few I'm getting rid of, and I'm making room on my shelves for books that I know I'm going to love and enjoy and bring joy into my life. So I hope you enjoyed. If you made it this far in the video, leave like a box emoji down below, like an open box or a packing box or something like that down below, since I'm unhauling these books and packing them up to either send them to you or take them to the used bookstore to trade them in for store credit. So I hope y'all enjoyed, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye, friends.